Hello, hello. It says we're live. Uh, Welcome to the garden one more time into the fray. I actually changed this whole show um, about 20 minutes ago. Um, and when more of you get here, I'll explain it. This is how I see today's, when I came here and said, what am I supposed to really read about? I was watching the committee on the Capitol invasion. I'm waiting for some folks to get here. And then we'll talk about it. Ronnie. Yay, Ronnie's here. So we can go. The party started. Ronnie's here. And Kathy G. and Elizabeth Bassett. Thank you. What I was saying that I don't know if you heard or not, and you too, Melinda, I changed my show 20 minutes ago. And I'll tell you why. I started watching the hearings on the Capitol riots, and I had a show where I was going to discuss Solar Plexus as a space and some different things. I'm going to still do some rocks and stuff, but what I'm going to talk to you about first, I'm going to put in the community notes after this meeting, because I don't know how to do all that stuff. Tech supports, like I told you, he's in South Carolina on the beach. Yeah, you're watching the hearings too. One of the things I remember from the day of the hearings, first of all, tech support texted me in the middle of the afternoon. He said, Mom, go turn on the TV. And I went and I turned on the TV, and they were just really massing on the Capitol grounds. And I went, I'll have time to hear about this later. I'm sure it's going nowhere. And I just kind of felt sick to my stomach, because there's a very good astrologer, and he's British, he's English. He made his creds by predicting 9/11. His name is Steve Judd, Steve Judd, Judd. And I hadn't seen him recently on YouTube, but I used to follow him just every day because he's good, he's short, he just kind of goes through the stuff. He speaks about the astrologic chart so I can understand it. But I'm going to post the link to go to the reading he did on January 6th and then his follow-up on January 7th, because he called it. I don't know if you know much about what goes on out there in the stars, but it's a big wheel, and when planets move from one star to the next, I'm going to turn that diggy noise off. When they go from one sign to the next, it's a big shift. And in this particular shift, Mars had been in Aries for like 6.5 months, which is like 4 times longer than it ever spends in a sign. It was just unreal. Then it was going to go into Taurus. Well, the other thing that's sitting in Taurus is Uranus, which is great. He's been in retreat. Okay, I didn't know what happened to him. I didn't follow. I'm not a fanboy. I just never saw what happened to him. But anyway, on the 6th of January in the morning, I'd seen him talk about how Mars was going into Taurus. It was going to be, its energy was therefore going to be joining up with Uranus. Also, when planets are at 0 to 1 degree, it can bring, it emphasizes whatever that planet's power is about. And Mars's power is martial things, force, violence, stuff like that. So, I figured, now I'm going to adjust that a little. I don't like watching my hands way back and forth. I figured that's weird. And he said, so watch it. And so he said, something's going to happen today. And boy, did he call it. He said, something's going to happen in the U.S. He also thought something was going to happen in Britain. I don't remember anything happening to the monarchy that day. But he was spot on with America, and he was spot on with the time. And I just went back to my Astro Matrix, called up that date, called up the time. And between the time they came onto the Capitol grounds, they were at between 28 and 29 degrees, Mars was, in Aries. It moves into 1 degree of Taurus during that riot. And he talked about, the power that exists in planets when they're going through those changes. If you don't follow much about astrology, but there are certain days that the astrologers are just spot on. So I sat down and I said, should I even talk about this today? And then I decided, no, I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to give you guys that link. So maybe it'll give you sort of a sense of a feeling about watching astrologic things and changes. Right now, I'm kind of obsessed with it because Uranus is sitting on top of my natal sun, which is Uranus brings huge, great changes. And so those huge, great changes are all the things that are happening around me, all the stuff I'm channeling in, all of how I'm coming to terms with that part of my life. And it's squaring Saturn, which is teaching me lessons. And as you all know, I get a lesson every night from the other side. So I'm kind of following this closer than I usually do. But I thought if you want to, after the show's over, you can go back and look at what he said happened, was going to happen on that day, which we saw a hearing about today. And it's interesting to hear about his timeline on Mars and how this is going to work its way out. Anyway, as we always know, I always pick a stone for the day. And today it's Tiger's Eye. And Tiger's Eye is courage. And I think we all kind of need that right now, because what we're looking at is going to make us all feel a little bit shaky. I don't know about you, but it does me. It makes me feel a little bit shaky. I have a real good example of Tiger's Eye. I have this globe, and the reason I bought it, has every shade that can appear in Tiger's Eye. And it's just a little orb that I keep near me. I keep it on a cutie pie little stand, and I keep it around my reading stuff. And Tiger's Eye is a remarkable ally for the mind, balancing emotional extremes, allowing scattered thoughts and feelings and information to come together in a way that makes sense. It brings focus, stability, enabling ones to make decisions from a place of reason rather than emotion. And I think it's kind of what I felt like. I felt a lot of emotion today watching what those policemen went through, but I know, see Eliza's on top of this. Yes, many planets are fixing to go across that threshold. Yeah, I couldn't watch it. I just couldn't watch it. As a kid, I watched people in Hungary be run over by tanks by the Russians. And when you know who was behind all those people and behind the people behind those people, that's too reminiscent for me. So Tiger's Eye is our stone of the day, and I love Tiger's Eye, and I think it's a beautiful stone, and I think, if it's not terribly expensive if you want to get a little piece of it. I've seen some done as pyramids and other things, and they're just little powerful little critters to keep around for you to pull that energy in. And I just did feel when I pulled that this morning, it was before I decided I was going to do all the rest of this stuff. Okay, the energy around us today. You know how I tell you when something hits in a crux and it really becomes important? Well, our spirit fell on crown chakra, tree of life, true, water, air, and future. And what basically all those things said is to go ahead with the truth, to speak my truth about it. I had body between water and go for it. It's just like embody your past, bring up the things you want to bring up about. That I'm having to rethink a lot of my values and decide what I need to carry in my path forward. That's going to be for everybody who watches this reading. You've got your clarities coming from your solar plexus, which is actually what I had my dream about last night, and I'm going to read that tomorrow because I've got another thing to discuss in the garden today. And the solar plexus and the mind connecting the solar plexus to the heart means that we can all speak and see our truth very clearly. So I think it's going to be a great day to go over this stuff. Now, the reason I'm not going to talk about solar plexus energy today is I have a lady that I did a grid for, and she lives in Puerto Rico, and she ordered a garden early, and when she finally got it, she wrote me and she said, I don't know about opening this up. When I pulled it out of my mailbox, I felt like it was vibrating. And I was like, well, we didn't put bombs in there, so, honey, it had been caught in the post office. Open it up. So she's been reading. Good morning. She's been reading to Angelita, good morning. she's been reading from the garden for a while, and she started out reading one stone at a time to kind of get used to them, and now she can roll out all the stones. But what she told me was kind of interesting. She said she was sitting there and she was laying the garden out one day and on this table, and it said, no, that's the voices that she hears said, no, that's wrong. And she was like, what's wrong? And they said, you need to make north north. And she'd heard my thing about I didn't think directionality made a difference. But she's like, well, I don't know how to find north. How do I find north to put north north? And they said, and they told her to get the compass on her telephone. And she said, I didn't even know my phone had a compass, but I found it, and I found north. And she found that when she started reading with north being north, for her, all the readings came out a lot clearer and a lot. And she'd seen me say, you do you. And she said, is it okay to do that? I said, you do you. So that's kind of an answer to me about does north meet north? Okay, the week shifts are starting on the 28th. Jupiter back into Aquarius, Mercury into Leo, Mars into Virgo on the 29th. Okay. Yeah, Saturn is sitting on top of my, where Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct last year. That was on top of that last eclipse, or the last full moon was on top of that for me. The other thing that Vivian told me is her vision, she started to just, I have spare scarves in case you don't wonder. She just was starting to crumple her scarf up and put it back in the tube. And when you get the garden, you get a tube that holds all your stuff. And I already have a set of stones in here. So she was starting to just crumble it up, and the voices said, no, 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 no. You have to fold it a special way. And this is what they told her she needed to do. I'm going to put it so you can see it right side up. They said she needed to take it and grab it right there so that third eye and crown were at the very top of the fold up here. And then they told her to fold it one more time so that those two spaces are looking out. That's looking out. And then they told her to fold it one more time and then to roll it up and put it in the tube. And that meant that from the perspective of what she channeled, the energy of the crown chakra and the third eye are always watching out for the garden. So I thought that's kind of cute. So that's now part of the garden tradition. I looked on my page about 15 minutes ago on the community page. I didn't see any questions. Does anyone have a question? I know, but if her thing was true, now, like I said, you do you. I'm doing it this way because I'm trying it out from her today. But if you feel like north should be up, that's going to make it clearer for you, then that's where you put it. I mean, like I said, the garden is yours. The garden is your own 4D, 5D tool to work with. And I'm trying to give people guidance about images I have about it, but if you see a space a different way, that's totally correct as far as I'm concerned. Does anybody have a specific question today? The ticky-tickies are not, you're not on your keyboards, guys. This is not helpful. Okay, yesterday I got asked about someone who said she was sort of having some anxieties, and I found another write-up to help us with our anxieties. It says to move beyond just reacting. It's the most important thing we need to do is pause before we speak, and it's not just to release tensions of expressing ourselves the same way, like yelling back at somebody, but it also can be rushing forward and comforting someone without taking a deep breath and looking at the whole situation. For one thing, the initial response might not always be the best for us. And sometimes I think when we rush in and we try to comfort someone before we find out what's really all going on with them, We can sort of say the wrong thing if we don't really look at it. Of course, yelling and screaming at people in an outrage, road rage and stuff is that's just childish rage. But it said some situations require a fairly immediate response, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't take just a moment to ground ourselves. And this is where we get back into the 6 deep breaths that we did yesterday. Breathing in, breathing out, taking in the air, taking in air. You know, the term for breathing in, the medical term actually is inspiration. It means to bring the spirit of the air in. That's not why they say it, but that it rhymes, it kind of goes along with verbally what we say. So it says take a deep breath, but also feel your feet. Make sure you're grounded. And try to feel as much as you can of what's going on around you. Do you feel the air in your skin? I'll look at that. I will. I don't think it's a political question. I think it's a national question. I'll ask about this January 6th commission. Anyway, what I found in this beyond reacting is kind of take a moment, think, take 6 deep breaths, think before you get going, and get grounded before you move forward. Judy, I'm going to look at the 6th commission first, and I'm going to stop the question there. And we're going to look at the outcome. I'm going to see if I can get a time on this, because I can tell time with this. Spirit and clarity are coming out of what's happened in the past. What's moving towards us is a whole new set of values. We're going to embody things much more clearly, but the problem is too many people's minds right now, and I'm taking this as right now, are in the past. Breaks from previous patterns to learn something new, and it touches with sacral chakra, which is creativity. Mind. There's going to be some really creative, interesting new ideas that are going to come out of this commission. I think that's going to be what it's going to be most successful at. As far as the spirit and emotions right now, the clarity's coming out of what happened in that trial by fire. It's literally in fire. More is being brought forward. A whole lot more is coming towards us. And it's going to ground and really help a lot of people. So I think it's going to be very successful. This would appear to be successful. I'm going to ask about the situation about Judy's block. Okay. Well, I can tell you what fell off the board. Your spirit. Here it is. Don't take that as a negative. It just means I have a very unflat surface. But I know where it flew off of. It flew across there before it left. The reason you're not listening to yourself. Your instincts are very true. What you hear, the values you hear are very, very true. You're going to get stronger with this in the future, but you're still too grounded to. This is going to be key to it. False. You need to listen more closely to your body, your gut reaction. Your gut reactions are your gut reactions for a very good reason, because that's what your gut's feeling. And clarity. You need to listen to your body, not your emotions. I think your ego gets in the way. I think that's why you're not listening to your guides. I think they're talking to you, and you're dismissing them. Just open up and tell your guides that you want to hear it. And when you have a physical reaction to something, it's not all. When we hear voices in our head, some of us get chills, some of us just stops us. I've had 2 close friends recently tell me they've almost been walking around and felt like their body energy was floating away from them, and both of them are making huge changes in their life and in how they're living their lives. So Let's see. So I think you need to get more grounded in your body, Judy. Do you know there's grounding stones? Tiger's eye is good for grounding. What I started with today. Uh, uh, Obsidian's really good for grounding. Dark stones are. Smoky quartz is a great. It embodies spiritual elements of quartz and grounding. Try some. Try some of those. And don't dismiss your guides. I think sometimes your ego's getting in the way of your guides. Okay. Jennifer Russell, what kind of work? Do we have like suggestions of kind of work, or you want me to try to filter something in? We'll go. Situation. Okay. He knows where he needs to move. It's just he won't let himself see it. There's something he really wants to do, but he won't go for it clearly. He needs to weed out why he has hesitancy about this, because I show him moving forward in body, mind, and values, which is great. It's here in water, and it's also in fire. His mind has some problems with things from the past. He shouldn't be tied to the false energy of the past, because he has great chances of transmuting completely into the future. That would tie together with clarification being in false. His vision's clouded at this time, but there's something he's always really wanted to do with the future and the present joined there in his spirit. Something he's always really wanted to do. And he has he always done kind of more physical work? Because this is saying mental work would work better for him. Using his mind, using what he's good at in his mind would be helpful. I think I don't think he's going to see any movement on this until into the fall. And it may take as late as into the winter. Let's see. I can't answer. Will my daughter's roommate get vaccinated? It's kind of a yes, no. So I'm going to put the situation around the roommate's vaccination, Jackie, and that would make me nuts too. Yeah, this girl doesn't listen, but she's got some knowledge coming towards her. I don't see her getting sick, but she's got her body is. She's responding to how she was raised. Yeah. She's got her body, which is how she embodies information in the past, which is look at how things. She's just so tied into certain patterns from her family. But when she chooses to go, she's going to go for it. But I think there's a way to get through to her. She's got, not getting vaccinated, staying with the family, and staying in what the family's told her to do. And what it says is the energy to change this can be freed by someone dealing with her creatively. So I don't know if your daughter can. Is your daughter vaccinated? Because that's most important. I don't know what the child's studying, but my daughter had a very close friend who was an opera singer, and that's what she does. She got COVID. She can't sing opera anymore. She doesn't have lung capacity. It's horrible. She's going to find the correct path in the future, and it's her mind is kind of between being tied to her family and wanting to move forward. So I think she's going to do it. I think she's going to do it in the fall. Hello. Okay. Okay, we're going to see what the situation is going to be en masse of the commission for people who are changing. Yes, this is the spirit in the third eye means things are moving forward, but there's a lot of people who just weren't sure what the hell really happened. I mean, how they could have seen any of that and not understood it. But there are people who They're going to carry new ideas from their past life into their present life, and they're not going to be tied to the false energy of the past. I think some of the lies and things that are coming out, I mean, people can see what they can see. There were things today no one had seen before. One of the things I noticed that they showed today that has not been seen before was apparently somehow the FBI got a hold of, they had a command center away from the Capitol telling people what to do. So none of these folks can say this wasn't a planned attack. And I bet you they're going to tie some of that communication back to some Congress people. I've seen 4 or 5 Congress people are going to get kicked out over it. And I flat out, the day it happened, I saw one of them as clear as day, and he said, he's a little worm from the Texas coast that a congressman we could do without. And that's for entertainment purposes only. That's just my vision. I think he's a squirmy little worm. This is why I don't talk politics, guys, because that's how I talk politics. Your values, the values for what's going to happen to the collective is between the throat and boosts self-esteem and lets us have our own self-expression, and it's bringing us an abundance into our third eye. In other words, people are really going to, it's like going to open up people's third eyes. It's going to be like, it's right there. And then spirit's clearly in the third eye, and spirit helps your vision see around the corner. So all the little, I don't know if you heard that crappy story where they're staging some demonstration outside the DOJ to have them let go of the prisoners of war, which are where they're holding the clowns that did this to the police. Is just horrible. Christy, well, I love answering questions before I even get them. That even's better. Hi, Alicia. I'm glad you came. So far, I've discussed something that's going to be on my community page about an astrologer who put his finger right on January 6th. And if you watch his prediction, I looked up the chart today, and he was exactly right. Mars was going from Aries to Taurus when they were breaking into the Capitol. And he kept saying something big's going to happen over in America. Okay, let's see if Letitia's going to get the new position at her school. Let's see about employment changes for Letitia. Yeah, definitely this fall. You know about it. I think right now you're concerned about the monetary thing that's going to happen there, but it's going to come out okay. Your spirit is kind of a little bit behind this, but your body and your mind and your clarity are all ready to move forward. Your spirit's here ahead of it in water. It looks good, and this is the fall, so and partly in the summer. So I think it's going to come through for you. Is there any message about removing shame as removing shame as a human birth? Removing shame is really important because that's like at the bottom of the 3D emotions. And I think we saw an example of it. I think it was very, very hard for Simone Biles to come back, especially after she fought with the Olympic Committee about having been sexually abused by that whacked out doctor. And when she started stumbling last night, I looked at my daughter when we were watching it, and I said, I think finally fighting to get there, to be there to represent so that they couldn't forget, it's burdening her. And shame is a horrible thing. But let's see. How to remove, let's see, where should our 5 stones be to help remove shame? Okay, you need to get the clarity in your solar plexus. You know, you have the root chakra, which is security, and then sacral chakra is creativity. But the solar plexus is where you have to just assume your own power. If you assume your own power, people can't shame you as easily. But that's easier said than done, but we're transversing. We're moving across from the sunrise to the sunset. In other words, moving across that arc. And you think I'd have this memorized, wouldn't you? Final thoughts on this situation are coming, but they're led by the Spirit. The Spirit transforms everything. It's not quite finished, but it is working in air where it's working to transform it right now. You've got values between air and water, and right on the line, it almost cuts it in half. Um, Mental actions are the path forward, and but the mental actions need to be grounded. And the body, you need to accept, people need to let go of trauma or find a way, a meditation, a physical activity, something where they can actually pull that trauma out and embody it, because it's grounding, getting it into the ground. I don't know if, almost sort of sounds to me a little bit Reiki-ish, but the Reiki person kind of goes through you and cleans it out and throws it back into the ground and releases it from you. And because shame is a mental thing, but it's a thing we carry in ourselves. Okay. When a stone flies off, it means I'm a crappy thrower. Actually, when I first played with it, I tried doing different things. I try to watch where the stone goes off, because there's usually time to see before it flies off. Sometimes it's funny, but in that case, I saw where the stone was going, and my problem is, this is on top of a fabric-covered mailbox, thing that you send mail in, a container. I have to find a better, more stable thing, because this bounces quite a bit. But I can tell you one thing. A couple of people tried to read politics with this, readers, and reported back to me, and they said every time they tried to read Trump, the mind stone rolled off the board. So I think that's pretty accurate for that one. Okay, where is... Okay, that's a good question. True courage, true heroes, speaking truth this morning. And that's true. You can just see it. You can see it in people. It's like, I'm going to do a thing tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Central Daylight Time, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, on Sheila's channel, and we're going to talk about what a candidate needs to consider before they run for office, and we talk about speaking truth and clarity. Can you please share how to get to the older shows of yours? I'd get back. Okay, Andrea, what I'm going to do is I'm supposed to be working with tech support. We're supposed to break my shows into categories like 9 candles, and I tell you what, the spirit stone just wants to get away from me, kids. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to try to get more. But usually, if you go to my channel, you should be able to hit the more button down. I'll talk to YouTube if that's not working. It's nothing I do, but I've had stuff out there since December. I do know people do it because I've had people tell me that I've been going to work with them for a couple months now, and riding in the car. Jackie, I think your daughter's going to be okay, and I think her roommates are going to learn a whole lot more about how badly injured young people are. I presume her roommates are not male, but I do know that I got a guy who had to... I blew a tire at 80 miles an hour on I-35 going to Austin, and I'm here, right? Didn't skid out or anything, just pulled over to the side. The little tow truck guy who came to get me, he was talking to me about COVID and stuff, and he said, well, his girlfriend was vaccinated, but he wasn't. I had my mask on, and I've already been vaccinated. And I said, well, gee, I said, aren't you worried about getting impotent? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, that's a side effect. That's a very common side effect of males who get COVID. Women don't get that. I said, so it didn't really concern me, but I would have thought it would concern you. You seem like a really good guy. Anyway, he dropped me off at the tire place, and then he circled back around before they finished changing my tire, and he came in and he goes, I looked that up on my phone. That's true. I told my girlfriend I want the shot. use whatever you can. And that's a true thing. I wasn't lying to him. Quit waiting on divine timing. This one I don't have to throw the stones on. Go on and do the next best thing you can do. And all of a sudden things will start happening. It's when we wait and wait and wait and say, where is it, where is it, where is it, that we keep it away from ourselves. Oh, good. Thank you, Eliza. I didn't know that worked. See, I learn this stuff all the time. The person that I go to is Dorothy Morgan, New Hampshire Astrologer. She's very reasonable. Her readings are really good. You can tape them, and she was extremely accurate. And I've studied astrology, so I told her I had, but I didn't tell her how much. And I knew immediately she got my ascendant, which is weird. It's in Scorpio, and it's a weird degree, so you can always tell. I can always look at a chart. Some of the charts you can pull up online that are automated are not as accurate, but I mean, that's who I go to. I don't know many other astrologers, quite honestly. Okay, when you're talking about the underpinning of racism, you mean, is our country on the verge of a racial awakening, or do you mean the corruption that represses that from coming forward? Andrea, let's see. I'm going to word it the way I think I should. I'm going to say, is there going to be a breakthrough in the racial awakening I think this country definitely needs? All over the board. Great. It's a false plan in people's minds, and it's a mental thing, so that makes it that much harder to scrape out and clean up. But the mind misleads these people, so what's going to have to happen is it's going to have to be given to them example at a time. Spirits in future and present. Go for it. This is the most hopeful stone here. It's the body and go for it, and it's water and change and go for it. So go for it in regards to the body. Is movement becomes easier because people begin to see the emotional side of it. They quit separating themselves emotionally from it. You've got the clarity straddling root chakra, tying cosmic wisdom to the base and creativity needed to harmonize intentions. But this being near here, saying we're going to begin to invite it, I think it's just the cosmic time, but the way to get to people is through their emotions, through getting them to have empathy for these people. Now, if someone has no empathy whatsoever, we're kind of doomed. But the middle stone, it means don't be tied to false energy of the past. No, that's the wrong one. Clarification comes from dealing with the past. That's where it is mostly, but it's also in grounding changes things and moves old subtle long-term patterns forward. And it's just now it's been kicked off and it's moving. It's being brought the movement to change the mind, which is kind of stuck over here in false, is that the body, people are going to feel it inside. We're not going to change them through stories or anything like that. We're going to change them when it hits their heart, is basically what this is saying. I don't read about the previous guy. I can tell you my own impressions about what happened with the previous guy is they had been softened up by social media, and I think social media is being extremely irresponsible in how it's handling things. I almost never go to Facebook anymore because it just makes me nuts. I think the voter registration, the reason for it's going to become clearer from these insurrection hearings. That I do feel. Hello, everyone in here. Yeah, Jennifer, I'm going to do playlists. And, let's see, is it possible? Oh, okay, let's see. Let's see if your son-in-law, let's see the situation around your son-in-law and vaccination. You could always tell him what I told you. I mean, I don't know how close you are to your son-in-law, or make sure he gets the message. Okay, situation. I think so. I think he's changing. He also comes from a very stuck in the mud, follow his old family traditions. Daddy did it this way. Daddy voted for Republicans. I have to. I don't like people who say Daddy always voted for Democrats and they don't even look at the candidate. Clarifications coming out of his South, but what he's got, the most positive things are this is moving forward and this is his values and this is his own body, and I think he's going to become aware of the things in the body, and I'm going to see his spirit's also kind of stuck over here all by itself. So let's see what's wrong with the spirit. Air and future. Air. Oh, he's transmuting right now. Just be patient. I mean, he's trying to break away from his family's paradigm. And, you watch a few more of your friends die, your family's paradigm gets a lot more shaky. Okay. Okay. That's 2 questions, Christy. We're going to look at cleaning up the U.S. food supplies. There's going to be a major movement to do that. And I really think there should be, because I don't know if you know about the Harvard woman scientist who got hushed up because she clearly related the amount of autism we have in the U.S. to the glyphosate. Anyway, I don't eat anything that Monsanto goes near. I make all my own food. I do keto, so, but she claims in the future, and that's why they don't have the level of autism in Europe, is because they don't use the GMO foods, and they don't use that herbicide. So let's see. We're going to see about movements to clean out our food supply. Yes, it's coming towards us. It's definitely the path forward. The crux is people's bodies are telling them, I can't do this anymore. You got this is touching 6 areas. So the body is touching. The insight needs to be expressed physically. Expression of truth will free the body. Physical feelings will, what I see, because of how these 3 have read, and the present, at this time, people are beginning to really build the information about how it's poisoning us, and people are going to be shocked. It's going to be like cigarettes, where people used to be able to go out and smoke and make everybody sick. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. And the finale is physical changes are coming, and you need to ground it in your thoughts, and that might be something you put on your gratitude list every day, that the food supply is going to get cleaned up. And it's definitely the path forward. So let's see about your other one, hydroponics in the future. I have a little hydroponic garden, and I grow my veggie greens in there. Mind, that's kind of interesting. I haven't seen mine fall that way very often. Thoughts are all important, and it's thinking, okay, hydroponics, we need to think in the future tense. That's telling me it's like not tomorrow, but it's another thing where people are getting spiritual insight. People, their third eyes are, as we wake up, as the population wakes up, and more people have their third eye opened, they're going to get information the same way that those of us who do it. Spirit will help with your vision to see around the corner, to see the solution that needs to come. You've got clarity in air. Be sure your thoughts, keep your thoughts clear about it all the time. And this embodiment means we need to take our body from embodying the past, but embodying the past and understanding what's happened in the past, but bringing forward new physical changes. And this being in the past, the values, it says your values are moving forward and getting rid of things that have come from the past. So I think hydroponics have a future. The one's first stone said it's going to be a bit. Well, let's just do a blessings on Officer Fanone, period, okay? And see that if things are going well for him, the situation around him. And if I see something that looks political, Angelita, I'll let you know. Spirit's right at the crux, body's in fire. Yeah, he very well could, because he's going through a shamanic change. He's having all of his life goals change in the middle. He's got his spirits transforming everything. Thoughts that had been clouded are becoming enlightened. He's transforming, but he's not quite ready yet. And transmutation, he's really on the way to completing a whole transmutation of who he is. And his thoughts are very clear about this. I think he wants to get out of where he is right now. He needs to let go of some limitations that he feels about himself, and he can easily move forward. He's changing a lot of old, long settled patterns. He's dealing with things from his past, but once he gets his body out of this trial by fire that he's in right now, he very well could. But the reason I feel like when things are in the center here, someone's in a very tight journey energetically. So he very well could end up running for office. I didn't see his testimony yet. Oh, listen, Ronnie, that's a deal. That's a real deal. Oh, good. Somebody's meeting Dorothy this afternoon. She's delightful. Tell her I said hi. Rate approach. Let's see. It's amazing how detailed the charts can be evened out. Yeah, charts can really, really do a whole lot for you. And sometimes just knowing, like, I've known for a long time that this Saturn thing, that Saturn and Uranus being squared directly over my natal sun, I actually went to Dorothy and I said, can we move this? And she said no. But then she explained to me why it was a positive thing for me and how to work with it. Scorpio rising. Scorpio's one of the few signs of the zodiac that has 3 signs. It's got the scorpion that everybody knows. It's got the eagle. And then the phoenix is actually also a sign for Scorpio. So trust me, I've come out of the ashes more than once. And I think that's one of those Scorpio traits. Scorpios are I'm much more Scorpio. I talk, which has something to do with Mercury in Gemini, and my moon is in Cancer, which has something to do with my first husband, and I should have waited a little longer before I got born that day. But anyway, it is what it is. And how does your daughter's health look like for the rest of the year? The situation around Jennifer's daughter's health. We're looking for a change board and a time frame. She's getting better. She's getting more in control. She's I don't do much. I haven't done many health questions, so it's going to be kind of interesting. Clarity and throat. She's going to be pretty much taking care of herself. I mean, she's going to monitor herself and get better. I see a lot of independence in here, but I see the body moving forward. So she's I think I don't want to put it that way, but okay, I think some of watch for signs, her spirit's opening up and coming forward, and her values. She can be a little bit of a drama queen, I think, with these two elements together in this, but I think she's getting clearer and speaking more truthfully. The more she can speak and express who she is, the less she's going to carry inside her that's going to make her sick. Doesn't mean she doesn't get germs. It just means that when she does that, it makes it looks good for the rest of the years. Just make sure you stay in communication with her about how she feels. I sure hope they need the money, Jackie, because that's kind of a crazy set of circumstances. Depends where he travels. If he travels in states that are highly vaccinated, that's okay. But I can't imagine raising a 4-year-old in that. And I know she's not, but. Oh, okay. What am I? How young is young son Eddie? Just see the situation on young son Eddie not getting vaxxed. I don't know if you're asking me. He's not ready. He's not in the age group that can be. I'm assuming he's just being a little butt and not doing it. But let's see. He's going to get some clarification soon. He's going to run into someone who's really gotten sick. I don't know how old he is, but it looks like it's all in his hands. And there's no, I mean, I don't know that there's some wonderful thing you can say. What I see is the fall, if as far as the time frame for this. You need to ground your thoughts and just send him good energy and light, and send him enlightenment and wisdom. Okay. That's kind of a yes-no question. I'm just going to see how the trip's going to go for your niece and her husband going to Orlando. I don't see anything terrible. You just need to put good love and light around them, because what I get from this is your spirit is really worried about this, and the more you worry about it, the more you can pull in that kind of energy. You just need to let them go with love and light, because they're going. I do care about our political people and a system, but stay out of the completely no news social media discussing with others for my own mental and physical health. Yeah, that's a great way to handle dealing with politics. I watch it because I see subtle changes that other people might not see, because I used to talk to people and tell them what to talk about, and well, not Jackie. There's no curing stupid. Okay, let's see. Brings. Yeah. Monsanto's. Those people are monsters, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, you're with me in the 100-pound club, Alicia. Yes, people can benefit from taking all those steps, because you're not only, when you recycle and learn to do all that stuff, you're not only just handling the situation in your own body, you're handling the situation in the world. Yeah, we need to spread love and light and enlightenment to those people, and keep a shield around. I do have some concerns about some of the people on that committee, because these little whack job soldiers that the right sends out, they don't know where they're going to shoot or what they're going to do next. Um, Angelita, have you been working with your garden? I know you got one. You reading? I do garden readings. If you just go in, it's like a reading. It's $50, and it's if you go in and say I want a reading, I send you my price list and kind of how things are broken out and the amount of time something's going to take. I do individual garden readings, and they're kind of fun, and I really like them because then I can talk to you. This is hard because I'm used to, when I learned to read cards, I could get immediate responses from people. Um, I have to deal with totally intuitively. Okay. Oh, yeah. Read the sheets about what you're sowing in the garden, that you're sowing your intentions. And the way I started, mind you, I'd mapped this all out, and we'd gotten the first scarves made. The first scarves we did of this were black and white, and I thought it was too stark. So then she came up with this lovely fluorite colored one. What I'd do is I'd roll a stone for the day, a one and done, and I'd say, okay, today, where would it go? And bloop, it would hit air, and I didn't even have this yet, guys. I had to kind of say, okay, air means, and I had descriptions of air, but I didn't have air and this stone. I had to kind of put the two things together. Um, but anyway, I just played with it every day, and then I cast two stones. I know Danny started his Spirit Sunday with my board, and because he's at the point where he's casting one and two stones, he's trying to figure it out from his perspective too. And for each person, it's going to be different, because this is really your divination tool, your way forward. I am going to do some future shows on sacred geometry. I'm about to do some things about about building grids and that sort of stuff, because my grid business, because I've been so busy hyping the garden, it's not fallen off. I do 2 or 3 a week, but at one point I was doing 7 grids a week, and so I love working with the grids because they give me a chance to handle all the other stones. That'll work, Angelita. That will work. I understand our Beto and the minister from North Carolina go walk through Round Rock. I think they are. Um, I think they're massing today in Georgetown, and they're walking to Austin. I have family down there that won't be walking with them because they got little kids and things they got to do. But I really admire that kind of action. I haven't seen that stuff since really Vietnam. Alicia, what I'm going to do is, after I have this sale, which I have right now, where you can write me and get a $10 off coupon and get the garden, in early August, I'm going to run Zoom meetings, which will be interactive with a group of people who have the garden so they can play with it. And it will be like a class. And that's why I'm taking all the notes and doing what I'm doing right now. This is all prep for that, but it will be much deeper, because every day I go back and look at what I've written before and see how the things begin to interconnect, and um, And I'm just telling my guides, you know, lead me where you need to go. So, guys, I'm going to pull a flower card. Where'd the flower cards go? Where'd my little flower cards go? I know they're here. Ah, they're buried under a scarf. Okay. I'm going to give you a flower card for the day. And then I really have to get off and go do a couple of other things. These don't shuffle all that well, and I'm not that good at that chook 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 kind of shuffling that people do. Cards, you know, when they say a card flies out, every card I own flies out. Yes, you'll have a lot more room. Let me tell you, on 4th of July, I realized I hadn't gotten a new swimsuit, and I said, how bad could it be? And I put my just under 200-pound body in my plus 300-pound swimsuit. It was interesting. Okay, we're going to grab this flower and go on our way. And everybody have a lovely day. And watch the hearings if you can. Watch what you can. Try to absorb what you can. Oh. Okay, we got Orange Blossom, which is for enthusiasm. The best can be here if you believe in it. So the best, we can have the best if we believe in it. And that's a lesson for all of us today. I thank all of you for coming. I will be back again tomorrow. And I understand from Andrea that she will not be doing her noon meeting. So I'm